Oh, hey, you know, let's get away from all the negativity in the world and talk about something positive today. Let's talk about my top 10 best Pixar movies. So, I love Pixar movies. I grew up on them, and even though they aren't all amazing, even the lesser ones are very entertaining and at least try to have something to say. These movies teach us great lessons about how to be yourself, having an imagination, how to create friendships, how to trust people, how to deal with losing people, growing up, how to adapt to change, and so much more. All while delivering these stories in a fun, easily understandable animated format. But even though you can plop your kids in front of these just to shut them up for a few hours, these movies aren't just for kids. They are absolutely kid-friendly, but they also have a lot to offer us critically thinking adults. It's really amazing how many great movies Pixar has produced, and it was super hard to come up with a top 10. A couple of these could change and could shift spots if I did this on a different day, but as it is, here's my list. The 10 Pixar movies that exceeded expectations and go from just being another good animated movie to being an actually great film. This is my top 10 best Pixar movies. I have a couple of honorable mentions that almost made the list, but just didn't make the cut. Man, this was hard, but WALL-E, Soul, and A Bug's Life are the 3 movies that absolutely deserve to be on this list, but today, they just didn't make it. Honestly, if I was making a 100% objective, take my opinion out of it, technically well-made best film list, WALL-E would definitely be on there. It's beautifully made, has really relevant and challenging themes, and it has a lot of beautiful visual storytelling. This is a well-made movie, but I just didn't enjoy it as much as these other 10. I don't know why. If this one is your favorite, I totally understand. And I understand if any of these are your favorite. But hey, we're not talking about your favorites, we're talking about mine. So let's get into the list. Number 10 is Up. Yes, this movie makes me cry, man. It makes me cry. This movie is moving, it's funny, it has a great imagination to it, and it has so much heart. The reason it's so low is because once they get to that island and crazy hijinks ensue, I think the story gets a little disjointed and sloppy. That section where his house is floating away and he's trying to get it and they're fighting an army of talking dogs and then he fights his childhood hero, that whole section just felt hollow compared to the rest of the movie. This movie is really good, but I don't think it's the flawless masterpiece that some people say it is. That being said, this is still a lovely movie that deals with loss, moving on, and keeping the adventure in your life, and it deserves to be on this list. Okay, number 9 is Onward. I know a lot of people didn't love this movie, but I did. I gotta admit, I think the first half of this movie is just good. It's good. It seems like they rushed into this world and the magic wasn't as fleshed out as it could have been, and some of the comedy doesn't really hit. But man, the second half of this movie is fantastic. It's funny, it's touching, it's exciting, and it actually goes places that I didn't expect. The way that magic is realistically used, the journey both of the brothers go on, the way they evolve and change, the voice performances, I just adore the second half of this movie. I probably liked it more because I have brothers and I understand that special bond. And man, this movie's finale just hits me right there, man. And I didn't cry because it was sad. I cried because I was swept up in the moment and the emotion of it, and I just connected with it. I either like or love every element of this movie, so that's why it's number 9. Number 8 is Coco. Man, this movie is fabulous. I love the Mexican culture and the world that we get taken to. It's ironically full of life and vibrance. The color palette used in this movie is amazing. It's funny, excellently written. I love the music element of it, and this movie is so touching. The revelations and full circle the story comes to is amazing, and it makes me cry every time I watch it. I don't agree with people who say Pixar is emotionally manipulative. I couldn't disagree more. Just because somebody knows how to write an emotionally investing story that pays off in the end doesn't mean it's emotionally manipulative. That is so ridiculous. It means that it was done well, it was written well, it worked, the story worked. And this movie proves that. This movie is simply great. Its only real fault is that it follows a few familiar tropes with the villain that I saw coming from a mile away. Other than that, this is one of Pixar's best. Okay, number 7 is Finding Nemo. This movie is part of the Phase 1 of Pixar films, but it remains one of their absolute best. The story of losing your child in this dangerous world is something that every parent can relate to. You feel Marlin's struggle, and you are rooting so hard for him to find his son. This movie doesn't really make me cry, but it does have some fantastic and touching moments. The dynamic between Dory and Marlin is really good, and their personalities balance each other very well. They help each other grow as characters, and they both naturally evolve through the script. This movie is constantly moving, it constantly keeps the plot going, and it is a truly excellent film. Funny, well written, visually interesting, and I love it. It's actually a better film now that I'm a parent, and it's one of those movies that has gotten better and better over time for me. I haven't found Nemo, but I did find a great movie. I'm sorry. Alright, on to number 6. And number 6 is Toy Story 2. Yes, the third best Toy Story movie gets this slot because it's a great movie. This movie found a nice and believable way to continue Woody's story without getting too ridiculous. The themes of getting thrown away and losing everything you love resonate with any human that has emotions. The emotional scene with Jessie, the hilarious side adventure Buzz and the other toys go on, Woody's inner turmoil, it all works. Different toys with different life experiences interact with each other to make some really memorable scenes. It's really funny, and it's constantly entertaining. I do think the plot gets a little disjointed and almost goes overboard at times, but I adore this movie, and I will gush about Toy Story a lot more in just a little bit. Alright, number 5 is actually the Pixar film that I most recently watched. It's hard to believe, but I just watched Ratatouille for the first time a few days ago. I was actually gonna do this list a few weeks ago, but I told myself, you haven't seen Ratatouille, you gotta see Ratatouille, you gotta watch all the Pixar films, give them all a fair chance before you make this list, and I'm glad I did. I really loved this movie. This movie was damn good. It was so imaginative and full of love. Passion just oozes from this film. I loved the main character and his passion for food. I loved how it showed the inner workings of a kitchen. I loved the writing. I loved the visual storytelling. I loved the music. I loved the side characters. And I loved the message that you can be more than what you were born for. You don't have to stick to society's standards. Go for your dreams. This movie was brimming with life and originality, and it was quite an enjoyable watch. The one thing I did hate was how the rat controlled the guy's every movement with his hair. It was just so stupid. Grabbing somebody's hair and pulling it and just yanking on it doesn't move every limb in your body. Look, I pull my hair, it hurts, but it doesn't make me go, ooh, I'm a chef now. I know it's an animated movie with an exaggerated reality, but they did such a good job grounding so many other elements that part was just a bit too far for me. Other than that, this is a great movie, and proof that a movie can be for kids and be smart at the same time. So, what movie could possibly be better than Ratatouille? Monsters, Inc. Yes, number 4 is Monsters Incorporated. Do I even have to say anything about this one? Is there a single person out there who doesn't like this movie? This one shows, once again, that Pixar was in prime filmmaking mode back in the early days. This movie is so quotable, it's so funny, it's emotional, and it actually goes to some really dark places. This world of monsters is so intriguing, and it's just awesome to watch how their universe works, and how it compares and contrasts to our own. Mike, Sully, Randall, Boo, these characters are so memorable and work so well together. This movie has action, it has great jokes, it has characters you root for, and once the plot gets going, it doesn't stop. It's grounded, but also silly. It's dark, but also hopeful. It's simply amazing. This is Pixar at its absolute best, making us care for characters that we have no business caring for. Blue and green stinky monsters. It's so good. So, for the top 3, these are the 3 movies that I think are absolute masterpieces. The creme de la creme of animated movies. The best of what Pixar is capable of. I could really interchange these 3 and switch them around on different days, and I understand if any of these are your top favorites, but my experiences and my mind have put them in this specific order. Starting with number 3, Toy Story. Oh, I can't even explain how special this movie is to me. I grew up with this movie, and it's one of the handful of movies that I have seen well over 100 times, and it is one of my favorite movies of all time. My childhood was filled with Toy Story, and when I revisited this movie as a teenager and now as an adult, I was really surprised at how well this movie held up. This movie introduces so many amazing characters. Woody, Buzz, Potato Head, Rex, Slinky, Ham. It is so quotable. It's so well written. It was the first full-length 3D animated movie ever, and it remains one of the best. The absolute vitriol and jealousy that Woody shows towards Buzz is so relatable to so many of us. Woody is a toy, but he is so human. He was the first one of these characters to have real emotions. He was the pioneer of all this. He's raw, he's jealous, he's selfish, he's emotional. And the ignorance of Buzz thinking that he's a real space ranger makes for a great dynamic between those two. Buzz fails to fly and realizes that his life is a lie. He is just a toy. His perceptions change. Woody goes on this dangerous adventure and his perceptions change. This whole movie is about accepting change. It's about learning not to judge other people. It's about growing. It's about friendship. And it's absolutely marvelous. Even taking my personal love for this movie away, I think this is still objectively well written, funny, it's a great story, and it's one of Pixar's absolute best films. So, Number 2, the penultimate movie on this list is The Incredibles. Wow, this is an almost perfect movie. This movie is so damn good! It puts a realistic spin on superheroes. It has an amazing score. It has amazing characters, an amazing villain, and it's absolutely fabulous. It shows the repercussions of being a hero. It shows the sacrifice you have to make to try to fit in. Bob is absolutely depressed because he can't do what he was meant to do. He's unhappy, unfulfilled, he's gained weight, he has to pretend, and that is so damn relatable. Getting stuck in a rut and feeling like we're meant for more. His family dynamic is good. He and Helen disagree on how their children should use their powers. They fight, they disagree, they aren't perfect. But they complement each other in the best ways. Syndrome is a believable and very entertaining villain. Edna and Frozone are funny. Dash, Violet, and Helen are all memorable. The action pieces are exciting. The plot is tight and concise. And beyond the fighting and the punching and the powers, at its core, it's a movie about family. It's about realizing what you have and protecting it. It's about realizing your potential. It's about challenges. It's the perfect superhero movie. It has just the right balance of action and downtime, and the characters are well realized and fleshed out. This movie doesn't hold your hand, and I really can't think of a single thing that I don't like about it. This movie was great as a kid, but it is absolutely amazing as an adult. This movie is the epitome of excellence, and it's one of my all-time favorites. Okay, here we are. Number 1. Number 1 on my list is a perfect movie. It's excellent. It's sublime to watch. It's hilarious. It's smartly written. It's emotional. It's deep. It's fulfilling. And it is a masterwork of filmmaking. And that is Cars 2. Nah, I'm just kidding. The absolute best Pixar movie to me is Toy Story 3. Wow, this movie is special. This is one of the rare, perfect third movies in a trilogy. This movie does everything that Toy Story 1 and 2 does, but better. This has the emotion of Up, but more earned. It has the excitement of The Incredibles. It has everything. It's all of the best qualities of the other Pixar films, all put into one. This could have easily been just another disposable sequel made to entertain kids for a bit and made to make money, but no. This movie tackles the issue of growing up, of what happens when the people we love leave, not having a place in life, not having a purpose. Are they going into the attic, or is Andy throwing them away? Will they be donated or taken to college? It sets up these characters in such a fragile state, then takes them on a roller coaster ride. The emotion that comes through in these toys is spectacular. From the opening scene to the last scene, this movie entertains. It's one of the funniest Pixar movies. It has all the great characters from before, but more. Lotso is a compelling villain, and it goes from an upbeat family drama to a full-on jailbreak movie seamlessly. I don't care if I'm a little biased here. This is my list. This movie was made for the fans who grew up with Toy Story. I can see if you don't think this is the best film, but I do. Each character is used and has a purpose in this script. It challenges the characters. It's fast-paced, but also has a lot of slow scenes. It develops emotions. It develops stakes. The moments at the end of this film are earned. The toys are headed for a literal fiery death, and they have to come to grips with their own mortality. Then, Andy gives them away, and he plays with them one last time. The one thing they wanted for years, they got. They earned. I know I keep saying this, but this movie was earned. Absolutely perfect. They nailed it. They nailed the characters, they nailed the humor, they nailed the themes, they nailed the emotion, and they perfected the Pixar formula. I have cried so many times at this movie that it's unreal. Literally dozens of times, and I can't help it. This movie is so special to me, and now my daughter loves it, and I get to watch it with her. That is what's so special. Seeing different generations experience these movies in different ways. It brings people together. And I'm excited for my kids to watch these movies when they grow up and discover the more mature themes in them, to understand them on a deeper level and hopefully have the same reaction I've had to them. So, yeah, that's my list. I know you may think I'm crazy because Inside Out isn't on here, but I don't even want to get into that. I could make a full video just on Inside Out. That movie is a confused, inconsistent mess. It's seriously one of the most overrated movies of all time. I mean, it's good. It's good. That's it. I'm sorry if that's your favorite or if you think it should have been on here, but that's just how I feel. And how do you feel? I want to see your top 10 Pixar list in the comments. How different is it from mine? How similar is it to mine? What's your biggest Pixar hot take? I would love to talk about it. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more content like this in the future, I implore you to hit that subscribe button. Take care out there, and until we meet again, peace! Hey, if you like this video, and you want to see more of my ridiculous content, check out one of these. Maybe you'll enjoy yourself, or maybe you'll watch it and crap your pants. Click one and let's find out.